I'm great. How are you?
I'm great, dude. Let me get situated here. Dude, so you know what I've noticed, man? You're a pretty stylish guy.
Thank you.
Where are you from originally?
Born and raised in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, grew up in Jersey, moved to the city for college. And I moved to LA for like a year and change, but mostly I lived here.
Is that where you got the fashion bug, bro?
Not at all.
Dude, so like in high school, I was always just such a fashion guy.
Yeah?
I mean, like I would spend copious amounts of money. Like when I worked at a day job, so like all the paycheck money, I would just buy like a dumb Gucci shirt.
That's amazing.
Like now I'm just a sweats guy, but I have all those collectibles that I could just whip out, I guess,
You
for the
got
next
to.
30 years.
Fashion's one of those things where if you're famous, you can get away with being violently unfashionable.
And they think it's fashion.
And they go, that's fashion.
That's like the Shia LaBeouf thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But if you're just a normal dude living your daily life and you are fashionable, I think it's less so with women, but if you are fashionable as a guy, depending on your circle, people will rip you for it.
Yeah,
they
dude.
get intimidated by someone who has even a little bit of a bold choice.
I was
what they're
called
wearing.
gay, constantly metrosexual,
Oh my God.
nonstop.
Yeah. Or even just like, because that's one thing, and that like stems from other stuff, but it's certainly a part of it. But also just like stupid, that looks dumb, take that off. You don't have the confidence to wear that, even though I did and I'm wearing. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Like, I bought a Von Dutch hat. It wasn't even real. It had a tiger on it. It was a blue hat, and it had like a bedazzled tiger on it. It is
Like jean material or something?
It was objectively the dumbest looking thing ever.
Yeah, and it was
but
like
I was like, it's
$200.
wild.
Yeah,
no,
bro.
it was like $15. It was like from China.
Yeah,
It
I was a fake one. It
garbage.
was a fake one you were saying.
But I thought it was cool because I was
Yeah.
16 and it had a tiger on it. So I was like, I'm going to
Dude.
wear this. And I think I took it off. Like
That's so funny you
45
mentioned
minutes
that.
into the
Like
day.
probably 2 days ago, well, I was at my grandma's house for Christmas, and she has all these photos just from when we were younger all over the place. I see myself in a Von Dutch hat from when I was 10 years old, and that's when it was like super at the peak, bro. Like I remember this girl who I had a crush on bought me one for my birthday, and I was like, whoa, this is the coolest thing ever. And then the upperclassmen were like, listen, kid, you don't want to wear that on the street. Somebody's gonna rip it off your head.
Yeah.
But Von Dutch, I guess, making like a little comeback. Do you see that documentary on
did not.
Hulu of it? Apparently the guy who made the company was like super Nazi type. He said anti-Semitic shit all the time, and his name was just Von Dutch or whatever.
Oh.
were you a big Abercrombie guy?
Not real. I
I
mean,
definitely was.
I'll say this: my taste, because I have two brothers, and they dress very similarly. They're pretty. They're finance dudes, so they dress like kind of what you'd expect. Like it's conservative wear.
Sweater vest?
All looks nice. Sometimes
When it gets a little
it's
chilly.
Like, if it's chilly or if it's like a family dinner, they'll wear that.
right,
but mostly
right.
it's just like nice collared clothing and like whatever pressed pants or whatever.
All right.
I never liked that kind of stuff. I always was like, give me like black ripped jeans. Like I like chain wallets. I like rings. Like I always liked weirder, sort of goth looking stuff.
Yeah.
I'll warn my buddies all the time. I'm like, yo, you guys better pray that I never get famous because I will be on that like Jared Leto, MGK. I'll wear crowns and capes.
Leather
with
and
I
everything.
love it. Why? It's such a fun way. Like, dude, part of the reason I love sketch comedy in general, is because you get to dress up. Like, it's fun to just like
Costumes.
indulge in like other energies and characters. Because the thing is, like, when you're walking down the street on a daily basis, you feel 100 different ways, right? Like you there's a moment during the day where you feel super depressed and you understand like the kind of goth aesthetic. You feel dark and stuff like that.
Especially in New York City, man, where like black is the go-to.
Totally.
Being in FIDA, you must see a ton of that sweater vest type
It's
finance
most
route
of
stuff.
the dudes. Actually, dude, it's funny you should say that because so I live with.
Let me turn this off.
Sorry,
Sorry.
it's good. I thought it was me for a second.
No, all good, bro. What were you saying?
So, I live with my brother, who's in his 20s, and two of our buddies from growing up who are in their 20s. And they all have like jobs in finance or, whatever, stuff like that. And all of them have had different groups of like 4 or 5 friends come over this week just to like hang out and crash at the place. And I probably met the same dude 15 times. And they're different races, different ethnicities,
right.
but they have similar jobs. They went to similar colleges and just have the same like way of talking. And like, it was just the same guy 15 times. And I loved, I grew up with that type of dude, just like bros. So every single one that came in the door, I was like, what's up, bro? Like, I love you. Good night. Like, we're like all tight just by way of this tribal thing of like, we just know we had the same
Like
sort
the
of
finance
upbringing.
tribe, the camaraderie.
It's like, it's it's the guys who become finance guys, because a lot of them are just fresh out of college. They don't even really have like a good job or a true identity in that way yet. But they have a similar aesthetic. They like the same shit. They party the same way. They listen to the same music.
I think that starts at the frat level too in college,
Totally,
you know.
totally.
And then you come to the city and you're like, oh, that guy was my frat brother. Like he's going out drinking on the freaking
100%.
downtown. Let's go meet him up.
And it's also
Meet up
like
with him.
you play sports in high school or middle school, and then that's the kind of introduction to that type of like male camaraderie, and then it becomes a frat thing. And then it becomes like your finance or even just your coworker group. And then like by the end of your life, like it's just that's your circle, is this one type of people. Right. And I always was in different types of circles.
All over the place. Well, where'd you grow up in New Jersey?
Bergen County.
Okay, so I lived in New Brunswick for 6 weeks, then moved to Manhattan. So my dad grew up in Jersey. My dad's family grew up there.
Yeah.
So I a lot of time back and forth.
Yeah.
But how long have you been in New York for?
Since 2011.
And you went to college where before that?
NYU.
Nice. All right, man. So you were taking like theater classes at NYU, or
I
not
did.
really?
Yeah. Well, I majored in dramatic writing, so like film and television.
Do you think that helped a lot?
Not as far as my career, no.
As of right now, maybe.
It
right?
helped as of right now. Well, it helped. I mean, I have a skill set that I wouldn't have gotten without that. But in terms of what they sell you on, which is like network and opportunity, like it's just a liberal arts college.
I would think because like the networking side just seems like being out a week in comedy and going to 10 comedy shows, like you'll network way better than you would in 4 years. Or how long was that program?
I mean, I was there for 4 years. But again, it's like a liberal arts college. So I also had to take like science classes and like ancient Egyptian architecture and stuff like that. So
how did you do? You find yourself like comfortable doing those academic type subjects?
Not really, man.
Well, getting into NYU, dude, that's a tough feat, especially being from New Jersey, because a ton of people from New Jersey just want to be in the city.
You know what it was for me, dude? It was my portfolio. I had a writing portfolio because I've been doing stand-up and writing sketches since I was like a junior in high school. So I knew I wanted to be in the city, and I knew that was like the best place to work on comedy and go to do stand-up at night. So I aimed for it, but I didn't have the GPA or the SAT scores to get in. So it was a lark. I was like, why not? A buddy of mine was like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like, you should go
I love that.
So I was like, all right. So I did it. And I got in on actually, one of the directors of the program told me later that I got in off my portfolio. So that was such a point of pride for me for so long. Is that like, but it reinforced a negative like behavioral pattern in me, which was that like, I only do exactly what the fuck I want to do. I'm like terrible at like in class. I was terrible if it wasn't something I genuinely cared about. I would cheat on all my assignments. I would just not do them. I would show up late. I would rely on like charm and like extra credit and like just ways to pass without having to like be diligent about the schoolwork. And then as far as like jobs that I held like all throughout my teenage years and 20s was like, you know, working in restaurants and like either getting fired or quitting after
like Buffalo Wild Wings, right? I think I saw that for a second.
Yeah, I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings. I worked at TGI Fridays. I worked at
love that
Harvest Bistro. I mean, you name it. Like I would just go around the mall every summer working at every different place until I quit or they fired me. Yeah, because I can't. I'm not good. I'm an extremely both passionate and apathetic person, and it's pretty binary. And so it's hard for me to like, dude. I don't even want to go to people's fucking weddings. I'm like, that's not about me. That doesn't advance my plot. Like, imagine if you were watching a show and the main character just like went to somebody else's episode. Like, you're just like, I don't care about this. I'm just standing here. It's so selfish and terrible, but
interesting way to put it. Though, go to somebody else's episode.
Yeah, it's just
especially when you think about your life in forms of. I don't know if you've ever heard the Joe Rogan was saying. Imagine a documentary crew is following you around all the time. So if you think about life like that, and then each level and characters, yeah, you're right. Especially like you don't want to go to somebody from high school's wedding that you haven't seen in 15 years.
No,
and a destination wedding, you know, at the very least.
It's because especially for us, right? Like we spend all of our time being creative and trying to find ways to have an exciting day or night. Like everything we do is like indulging a very fantastical part of ourselves, right? Like we perform and we're hypothetical on stage and we're imaginative on stage. Other people, like they have a wedding and a birthday party and that's the most attention and fun. And Friday night. So they get bombed. But like we're doing theater every day and night. Like it changes you fundamentally when you're creative frequently because you don't need to indulge in like what, like, dude, a wedding and a birthday party, especially the way a lot of people like to have them, it's basically like this, like, narcissistic indulgence of like why you're like everybody comes and brings. It's like a weird thing that we do, right? Just for like a person who is turning 16 or whatever. But like I never give a fuck about birthdays, like especially in the last 10 years, just because like every day I'm kind of celebrating myself and my ideas and my, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, maybe that's aggressive, but I just don't feel like people generally indulge themselves enough and celebrate themselves enough. And so it leads to birthdays and stuff like that being like a way bigger deal because there's so much pressure on it to be their day. Like every day's your day. Just indulge yourself.
Did you play sports growing up?
I did. I played lacrosse, football, and basketball.
I think also like a lot of the comedy mindsets revolve around sports and just like not giving up and just progressing through life in that way and doing things that are uncomfortable, you know? Like I chose between baseball and tennis when I was like 12 years old. I felt that I could have played college baseball. Ended up playing college tennis, but I felt like it was interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
But the idea of me pitching and somebody hitting an easy pop fly into the outfield and the outfielder dropping the ball, like something that was completely not in my control, just really would piss me off, you know? And I was just like, I could have done that. So like, so I think the way I kind of navigated through college, and I ultimately ended up like working at a real estate company, my dad's company, for 6 years before I even was doing comedy like full time. So I think it was just like, I needed to find my inner child where I was like, I don't want somebody else to be in control of what makes me pissed. You know, like I want to be pissed like on my own terms.
I completely identify with that because working in restaurants, somebody's
always on your ass, right?
Somebody's always on top of you. And also the work that you're doing matters not. Like it really, really is just the tiniest part of somebody else's day. And it's not even that consequential to them. Like if you're late bringing a plate of food to somebody's table by like a minute, that's a minute inconvenience for them. But how much shit I get for that minute is totally disproportionate to how much your meal was ruined. Like imagine you're like, oh god damn, like where's the food or whatever, and then 35 seconds after you say that it comes. That 35 seconds like feels like an eternity when you're waiting for your food, but then you eat your meal and everything's fine. But then I like maybe get fired, or you know what I mean? I'm so angry.
Do you have any crazy stories from the restaurant?
I mean, so many, bro. Like, but
what's the most memorable one?
There was a kid. I worked at a restaurant in Jersey, and I worked with this really nice guy, Albanian dude who owned an Italian restaurant. And he needed people to like work in the kitchen, and he was a really good guy. So he would give people who like really had no business working in this like very nice Italian restaurant a shot. So he hired this one kid that was a friend of another guy who was a waiter, and the kid had like just gotten out of prison. He like,
how old is he?
He was like maybe like 20 or something, dude, like really young. And he was the type of dude who like looked like bad news. Like he had like mad face piercings and like, so he like comes in and he's just looking for any excuse not to do what he's like being told to do. And I'm also like borderline scared of the kid. So like, even though I'm above him, like he would just like not do the shit he was supposed to do. He like wouldn't fold the napkins and like do the silverware or whatever. And I would just be like, yeah, dude, it's cool. Like, fuck this place. Like, meanwhile, I'm like,
you're on team that kid.
100% in front of him. And then in the back, I'd be like, he's really like not pulling his weight around here. So he gets yelled at for not taking out his like nose rings and shit, which is like, look, I get it. Like everybody should be able to express themselves, whatever. But it's also like, you walked in here and asked for a job, so you got to like kind of follow the rules or whatever. So he gets yelled at for like not taking his nose ring out and whatever. And then he gets in a fight with the manager, and he's like, you know, fuck it. Like, all right, you want me to take it out? I'll take it out. And he like takes it out, but he does it really aggressively, and he starts bleeding out of his nose.
Oh, into the guacamole.
Into the guacamole. But dude, even worse, he's like, the manager's like, go clean yourself up. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, come on, I give you a job here, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, like, yeah, you made me do that. And you want me to like go bust the tables? And I will. And so he like goes out to bust tables, like bleeding from his face.
Oh my God. Wait, was this a TGI Fridays Boneless Buffalo? Wait, which restaurant was this?
Dude, this was, I won't say the name, but it was like a nice, like local restaurant. It wasn't even a chain, dude, which makes
local,
it even
which you don't want to
worse.
say.
Because
right.
if you work at like a chain, you can kind of be like,
you can get away with that kind of.
McDonald's has lawsuit money. Like it'll be,
Right.
it's the corporation. But this was like,
and those people
John's
would like
Bistro.
those people would go to another McDonald's again. They wouldn't go to John's Bistro again.
Totally. But so shit like that happened.
He's just going around the table. He's like, "Can I do anything for you?"
Bleeding out of his nose.
What would you never forget? What were you saying?
One thing I'll never forget is like I'm taking the bus in the morning into the city to like do stuff like this, do podcasts or whatever, do stand-up shows at night, and then I would like crash at a buddy's. This was before I lived in the city.
Where in how would you get back to Jersey though? Which bus? The one that goes through the Lincoln Tunnel?
Sometimes there's a 166 from Port Authority that goes. It's like really local, so it takes like an hour and a half, but it goes eventually to a town called Tenafly that's near my mom's town. And then there was like another direct one that I would catch sometimes. Very. So I'm like sleeping at buddies' places and then taking the bus super early to like get to this restaurant because they would do like brunch and stuff like really early, and then like work a half day shift, take the bus back. And so I'm doing it on like this cycle of like every day. So I'm like exhausted and like really hating the fact that I have to like come back to this place and like polish silverware and serve people, and just like really hating that I'm not just like a full-time comedian.
Because because you got a taste of it at night, and then you have to like go and do the shitty part in the beginning, then the high part, shitty part, high part, shit. Right.
And if the show sucks, then the next day,
right? But at least it's not the whole time. It's like the shitty part. Totally. You know, that's how some people go through life.
Totally, some people really that's their whole life. But I always felt like, and everybody has a very different situation. Not everybody has like the privilege to go do comedy, but like I always felt that if you have a choice, go for your dreams, because you can always go back and work at a restaurant. Like that's always an option, is to struggle and survive. But if you have the opportunity to go, and when you're working in a restaurant, you're working with a lot of people who have the opportunity to try something, but are just a shithead. And like in Jersey, dude, most of the people that work in restaurants are just some fucking shithead who like barely got out of high school. Like there's so many of those guys around me where I grew up. It's just dudes who are just like, they're probably good at sports in high school, having a good time, didn't try hard enough for anything, didn't like really have an identity or like a sense of purpose or passion or pursuit. So they just kind of flounder for a bit and then end up like working at a restaurant. So I was surrounded by like that energy. And I'm like, I'm cleaning dishes or whatever one day. And the boss, the owner of the restaurant, is from Albania. And he's talking to me one day about how like it was his dream as a child, he loved Italian food, to come to this country and open an Italian restaurant. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh, this is like his kingdom and his dream is fulfilled. And I'm just fucking in his dream. I'm just washing dishes like in his dream. And it just dawned on me in that moment, like, oh, I gotta like go make my own thing. Like I don't want to be a part of somebody's. I'm happy to help and contribute or whatever. That's part of life. But like that, my goal is to build my own like sanctuary and like thing that other people can contribute to. And like just be, I didn't matter there. I don't like being places where I don't matter. That's existentially difficult for me.
And I think that speaks to, a lot about each person's dream on their own. Like some of these immigrants who come here and they open up a dry cleaning shop, and they're open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're like, this is my dream. I have my own business. The rent's going up a little bit, but it's okay. We still have family members. But yeah, dude, it's freaking crazy how everybody's life just looks so different. And some people are super happy working at the corporate job, making a ton of money. Maybe they have their like office romance, something like that. But bro, when I was working at my dad's company, I was like, get me out of here. Especially since I was like, is it 15 years yet? Am I going to be able to take over the company yet?
Right.
So I find myself sometimes just looking at the screen, the computer screen, MSN, like waiting for another story to pop up, another headline. So it's crazy to, when you're in the moment, you're like, I don't want to be in this moment. But there are things you could do to get yourself out of those ruts, I would say. You gotta work, I
There's
guess.
different types of struggles in that way, right? Like you can pick something really crazy to go after, like we do with comedy and with the arts and stuff. And there's days where you're like, oh, I don't have a show, or you just feel like there's a lack of opportunity or something. And that is it's a really poignant, really focused experience of like, I don't want to go as far as to say depression, but you feel shitty in a way that is exactly what you want is not there. Whereas when you're working in a restaurant, you're like, this fucking sucks. Like that just sucks because it sucks. to work in a restaurant. But when your dream isn't going well, it's like a different type of...
Because at the restaurant, you're not digging for something deeper.
Totally.
You're not like, all right, keep busting. Something's
Right.
there, something's there, something's there. Like when you're in the comedy game,
Right.
you're like, oh shit, this went well. There's something there. There's something there.
But that's the thing, is that when you're quote unquote like failing or struggling rather in the thing that you want to be like succeeding at, you innovate and you figure it out, and like you can cope with that lack of, you know, success or whatever. But in a restaurant, you just take it on the chin. You're just like, this life sucks. Well, whatever. I'll fucking get drunk this weekend. And
Living
like
in
party.
someone else's dream, I think, is an interesting thought, especially when your boss is like, "This is my dream," and you're helping him accomplish his dream.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you, but fuck this place.
Did anything make you really want to leave New Jersey as opposed to just being able to go back and then come to the city, or you wanted to be in the city full time for a while?
Well, there's the practical element of like doing comedy here. So you got to live here. But when I first moved away from Jersey, like after I graduated college, I went to LA for a bit. It was like family stuff, growing pains. Like you get to a point as a young dude where you're like, I need to be alone.
Why'd you go there though? Was it kind of like the NYU LA people bringing you out there maybe?
No, because I didn't have any. I had one best friend who lived in LA, and we were just best friends through stand-up, a dude named Abby Roberge. But I didn't have any friends in LA that came with me from I went alone, and he was my only buddy there, and then I made friends when I was there. But I think I went because it was not New Jersey, and I wanted to live somewhere else, be somewhere else, experience somewhere else. I maybe thought that it was going to be good for like my career, kind of, sort of, but it was more just a personal thing of like needing to, you know, like the Odyssey, right? Like you have to leave home and eventually come back. And I didn't know if I would stay there forever.
Yeah, how long were you there for?
Almost 2 years.
Damn, bro.
I didn't even, 6 months. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
You really liked it.
And then it turned on a dime.
When did you move out there? What year? It was before the pandemic, right?
Before the pandemic, and I came back like right before the pandemic started. So like maybe a year before the pandemic started. So it must have been like 2016, 17 I moved there. Yeah. And then I came back here because I was headlining Caroline's, and
this one now.
I had auditioned for the Cellar for Esty, and I got passed. And then I also did like a short film. So I just had a busy week here, and I had so much fun, and I was like, I fucking hate LA. I just realized like I wasn't having.
What was your living situation out there? You had a car in like Hollywood?
I didn't have a car. I lived in West Hollywood. I didn't have a car, but I lived with another. I lived with my buddy Abby, and we had a good time and stuff. Eventually, he moved out, so I spent like probably half the year living with this random girl that we got to sublease.
It was like Craigslist?
I saw something like that.
Was she a 10 or
something.
what?
She was cute, but
She's cute.
You know what it was, dude? We were very fast friends, and she was younger, and she was kind of like a little sister, and I loved it. And we had great times, like hanging out. She'd come out. She was new to LA as well, and then she turned psycho on me, like right at the end.
Why?
I don't know.
She wanted something more than the friendship, bro.
Sounds
about right.
Looking back on it, I'm sure that's a possibility.
Went psycho on you though. What'd you do? You
Dude,
didn't like clean up the dishes?
It was something like this, right? It was like me and my buddy split the rent evenly. My bedroom was bigger, but he had a car, so he got the parking spot.
And you guys split the bathroom, shared the bathroom.
We each had a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
So my room was a bit bigger. And so we made
Sorry, was your bathroom in the bedroom though? Like it was like a master, or you had to go outside into the hallway into the bathroom? Because that matters a little bit.
So there, when you walk in, it's like a big living room and a kitchen, and then there's like a thin hallway. And on the left on on the hallway, there's a bathroom, and then like that has a door, and then there's another door to the bedroom.
Well, when people come over, where do they drop a deuce? In your bathroom or her bathroom?
If anyone ever came over and they were my guest, they'd use my bathroom.
Okay, right.
So yes, there's a wall separating, like he can't go into his bathroom without going into the hallway, but the hallway has two doors. So the hallway is a room. So it's very much his bathroom and my bathroom. The thing is that you don't have to go into the hallway to get into my bathroom. Okay. This was a very big deal to her. I think the difference in our rent was like $200 or something, not even $150. And our deal was that like my buddy got the parking spot. It was his parking spot, and he could rent it to people. Like, it's a valuable thing to have a fucking parking spot on Sunset Boulevard in LA.
Is it in the building?
Yeah. Yeah. But you don't need like anything. You can just go into the driveway. And you need to park under the building. So at some point she found that out, and she was irate that her and I were paying the same thing, but my bedroom was a couple square feet bigger. So in like a day, she started like, putting her place up so like she could replace herself in the apartment.
Sublease? Wow.
It was nuts because I remember I was like, I didn't understand that she was upset or whatever. So she's like, all right, well, I'm going to move out on Thursday. So like, I'm like,
what
cool.
day was this?
This was like Monday or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me know if you need help or whatever. And then I come home early just to go to the gym or something Wednesday, and she's moving out that day, and she's stealing all my shit. Not like from my bedroom, but like all the kitchenware, dude. She took like all my forks and knives and spatulas, and I'm like, hey, I'm like going through the stuff. I'm like, hey, these are mine. Like, what are you doing? It was so, dude, it was like,
It was a full 360 of the person that you knew?
100%, dude, like 180 in a second. Like,
when
my bad. You know when you break up with someone or someone breaks up with you, and then maybe the dust settles for like a week or something, and then you see them again, and it's like a different soul is in their body. You're like, you just don't recognize it. There's all the familiarity is gone.
The eyes are different.
Yeah, and they're just a stranger now. It was like that. I was like, oh, this is a different human being.
That's so creepy.
It was so weird.
How much younger was she than you?
3-4 years probably.
And this was like the last time you ever spoke after you confronted her about stealing your spatula?
Well, she owed me like $170 for like a Spectrum bill.
Oh, but was that her getting back at you for paying the same rent?
Well, I Venmo'd her, she never paid it. She like blocked me on everything.
Yo.
Yeah.
So she ended up leaving that Thursday or
I guess so. Yeah, it must have been.
And that was the last time you communicated with her?
Literally never saw her again.
Dude. And you were tight with this girl for how long?
Better part of a year.
Yo.
Dude, it was one of those things where you're surprised at like the degree to which people can just change up on you.
You ever had like a really bad breakup like that?
I've had 3 breakups, and they're different types of difficult on me. The most recent one, me and an ex, she wanted me to propose. I had interest and maybe light plans to do so.
Were you guys living together at the
moment? We were.
Yeah.
For almost 3 years. But I wasn't ready. I'm not ready to be married. So I wasn't going to propose. We had a light timeline of like, I'll propose. She's 27 when she was 30 or something. We've only been dating 3 years. 3 years. Okay. So I was like, by the time we're together 6 years, you'll be engaged. Maybe a year later, year and a half later. I don't know. We're married. Soon after that, I'd be willing to start having kids. But I need time to like get my life where I want my life to be.
The large bag, right?
You need the big bag.
Yeah.
This was not acceptable. So that started what would eventually be like the end of things. I think it just put a rift and then revealed other issues that she had and whatever. I mean, I love her dearly. She's an incredible person, and I think she'll probably get what she wants. That's the thing is, like many girls, especially from like my part of Jersey, who have parents who were married young and maybe like...
People don't get it, man. Our parents and grandparents don't get it that things are like pushed back at least 5 years now.
Totally.
Even on the women's side.
Totally.
You know, you used to have kids at 23, and now 28, 30 is okay.
Dude, if you have a path in life that isn't graduate college, get a job in that field, and then just incrementally make more money until you die, you can't subscribe to that lifestyle. Like, it doesn't make sense. The thing is, getting married and building a life with a partner and maybe having kids if you want to do that has practical limitations to your life that can only be made easier by having a consistent and secure.
Yeah, there's a horizon
income.
There's a horizon for that type of behavior.
Totally.
You know, like, you're gonna get your bonus in 2 weeks.
Right.
Like, you know that you are gonna get promoted.
And the narrative
in some cases you get cut, you lose your job, but those are cases that people hate.
Totally. And you can't plan for those things the same way you can't plan to be hit by a bus. So like you don't. Whereas I think the life that like I want to have very much included the things that are her dream, but those things are not important to me, but they could become extremely important to me
At the right time.
if I accomplish my goal. Like, I actually don't even know if I want a family and kids unless I self-actualize. If I achieve what I want personally,
when you achieve.
Yeah, thanks, man. But it would be selfish of me to do anything else. It would be selfish of me to put someone else before me with it's not a small thing to commit to somebody forever, which was not the issue. It was not a matter of like, oh, I don't want to, we were fully committed. You know what I mean? But like getting married, starting a joint savings account, looking at houses, these are all things that take you very far from the lifestyle of a nightclub comedian. Dude, she was like, can you get another job so that we can start? And right there, I'm like, I even was like, I could do it. I could like go get some side hustle to like have some more money so that we can start thinking about a house and stuff. But it was all way too soon. I was like, dude, I need to like be on the road more. I need like less obligation and responsibility to you because you're 27, and I need to be like going 110% with comedy right now and not thinking about like making a little extra money on the side. Like I need to be like right now, dude, I can be poor and it's fine. It affects only me. And as long as like I put enough calories in my body every day, like we're good.
Yeah, it affects only you. You're right.
But when you have all these obligations in even small ways,
bro.
it's
it
like
just gets harder and harder to be content in what you want to do.
Because it's not just the person. As far as our like one-to-one relationship went, it was a dream. It was so much fun. Like she's the best. She's so supportive, but she just she wanted a different life than I want, especially for our immediate and like near immediate future, that they just couldn't mesh. So that's a lesson I learned with the most recent relationship, is that like shit is practical. Shit just has to work on a practical level of like, what do both people want their life to be on a daily basis and in the near future? Because you could, dude, if those things work, you could be with somebody you barely have fun with. You know what I mean? Post-college, I dated a girl for like a year and change, and we did not like each other. We had no business together. But our lives were pretty simple, so it was easy for us to keep dating.
Well, how do you mean? Was she like a performer?
No, she had a job in like real estate and then worked in an office, and like we both just wanted to be in the city all the time. So like before and after shows, I would go and I would be with her, and like it just was fine. We were too young to have any interest in getting married or taking things like more seriously. So we just were boyfriend and girlfriend for a long time, and like we fought constantly, but there was nothing bigger than our feelings that was pulling us in opposite directions. So you can get through a fight and then end up together again the next day. But if like your dreams, your self-actualization, money, a career pull you in different directions, loving each other isn't enough for that. And maybe it is for some people, and they just decide to like sacrifice identity, career to be with each other. But I don't think I could ever love somebody that way. Like who I am and like why I'm here is my existence for me. Like I'm not on planet Earth to like fall in love and find myself in another human being. If that happens, that's so cool. But like for reasons that I'm sure have to do with like family life, childhood, whatever, I don't care to like that's not the thing of life for me. I think falling in love is like the reason of life for a lot of people, is like to find their person, their soulmate. I don't care about that.
Your parents divorced?
Yeah. If you couldn't tell from that.
No, I was just asking because my parents are, but they get along great. They work together.
Oh, my parents have not spoken in decades. And if they did, it would be the weirdest thing in the world.
So like you have to communicate between mom and dad?
I don't talk to my father. I haven't. But yeah, me and my mom are tight.
It's going to be interesting to see like what happens with guys in their, I guess, like late 20s, early 30s over the next few years, you know, just because our parents, our grandparents expect us to be with a woman, expect us to be married and have the stability living with someone. And it's just changing, bro. Like, to be honest, over the last 2 or 3 years, like, I don't want to be dating a girl who's 28, 29 years old, man. Like, I don't want that timeline for myself.
Yeah.
Just because, like, things start to get pressurized around that.
Totally.
So, like, if I'm dating a girl who's, you know, 24, 25, maybe she's a little young at the moment.
I understand why Leonardo DiCaprio won't date a woman over 25.
He said it. I was thinking it. He said it.
And damn right I said it. I totally.
I mean, I get it, bro. It's just like, he doesn't want to have kids, apparently.
Even if he does want to have kids, he doesn't want to faction his life into pieces that are out of his control.
How do you mean by that?
What I mean is, if you're married, you got to go to brunch with her family on Sundays. And they might be lovely and you might have fun and a good meal, but that's still a day you didn't spend on your art or indulging your...
Do you think that's how he feels on a certain extent?
He must. I mean, I certainly can't
because mentioning that seems like a pretty deep kind of thought in that.
I mean, that's one that like kind of,
brunch.
I guess, comes from my personal experience too, right? But like, dude, the truth of the matter is that like artists, creatives are two things. They're people who feel feelings like so deeply, so immensely, but kind of in a void. We feel them often hypothetically. Like if I'm sitting alone and I'm falling asleep at night and I'm thinking about a girl I have a crush on, I could feel so goddamn in love, like move mountains in love. But it's because it's like my private indulgence of like these feelings. And even if I like share them with a person out in real life, the second that you honor those feelings and now you have obligation to that person, it changes your whole world. It changes like the amount of hours that you can spend on things. So in addition to being these like immense feelers, we're also like really, really selfish and want to control our whole world. And I think that that's evidenced by that we make things. Like people who make things are controllers. Like we're trying to build things and we're trying to create the experience around people seeing those things, whether it's a joke or a movie or a sculpture. Like you have an idea about how people are going to interact with you and perceive you and the things you make. And I think like you throw a relationship into that mix, it fucks up the inner workings of how you can give to the world. And you know what I mean? It's a lot for an artist who really just wants to be an artist to also be somebody's keeper, somebody's caretaker. It's a fucking two huge responsibilities. There's a responsibility to yourself and to your babies, which is like your projects, and then also to this other living, breathing human being. And I think the only way that it can happen is if you are super successful.
Right. Or it starts at the very beginning. Like, you know, you guys grew up on the same street. You went to the same middle school, same high school. She knows you from the very beginning. This middle ground, for lack of a better word, it's tough to find someone who is the perfect person. For a stranger. We met outside Chase Bank. And now I'm going to go late to my show tonight because... she was having like trouble with the pasta. Like what? And when you've been together for that long, that doesn't happen. Like you're going to the show, you know, you're not staying home and helping with the pasta. But even the sacrifices that aren't sacrifices because they understand are sacrifices, because what happens is they get credit for how supportive and how they don't give you a problem for how much you do your show, which has a fucking receipt. You can cash that in. My ex was extremely supportive. Wouldn't bat an eye if there was something I wanted to do for work or something. Go. So what was the caveat? Just getting an extra job?
At that time, that's like one specific example, which wasn't hugely important, but it popped up. But it was more that when she felt like it was time for her to be proposed to, she got to like cash in. She felt all the support and goodwill of like being such a ride or die chick. But I'm like, no, that can't have a price tag on it. Like that's not what this is, because I can be pretty heartless as far as like what I'm willing to. Because here's the thing: if I marry you, or if we have kids together, I'll throw away comedy and everything in a heartbeat. If maybe not for a person, but for children, the way I grew up, dude, I'll never talk again if it meant my kid was going to have like a good day at school. You know what I mean? I'll staple my mouth shut. Like that's the type of commitment that I can give to something that is my top priority. Right now, me and my career, my art are my top priority. So if somebody wants me to sacrifice that for them, I can't. It's not even a fucking question. It doesn't occur to me at all to do that. I would never. I think it's murder. You're murdering me if you do that. Right now, dude, so much of my time is spent trying to make it. You know what I mean? Like, so much of my time is spent trying to have more shows, booking shows, is auditioning. Leonardo DiCaprio's not fucking auditioning. He just is in another movie. He just has a conversation and he does another movie. So much of my time right now is spent trying to be working, pre-work. So if that time gets supplanted with free time because now I'm working, then yeah, I have afforded myself the opportunity to honor the lovely feelings I feel with a relationship. Because it's not a matter of like, oh, my heart's too cold and I can't be in love. I scare girls off all the time with how fucking much I love them at first sight. To me, it is like a man's journey to deserve those things. And anytime like a buddy of mine like from high school or whatever gets married, I'm like, oh, like that's nice, but like you're gonna die nameless. Like I'm just obsessed with like,
sometimes it feels like settling.
Yeah,
in a situation like that.
I think everybody should have an albatross that is like, I think you got to pick a goal in life that you think is almost impossible. And then if you can do that, then I think you deserve all the fucking happiness in the world.
That's very hard to do though if you're not passionate about what you're going for though.
Totally.
You know what I mean? True. That's a whole nother thing that not a lot of people, I don't think, really have the opportunity. You know, like people want to win their conference playing Division III soccer. That's dope. They win it. Now like, okay, what else am I passionate about? Mm-hmm. You know, and I think people having such an easy time being the popular kid in high school, being the popular sports athlete in high school, then they go to college, slight struggle. They see that not everything is so easy here, and then that kind of mindset continues into everyday life after that.
I'm glad that I think most people are some version of that, where they don't have such a hard go that they're forced to seek like resolve or content. Because it's not even, dude, sometimes I get off stage with like a euphoric high, but a lot of the time I just feel content. I was telling my brother the other night, like if I do something creative, whether I make some music or I edit a video or I perform, I feel content. I don't feel amazing. Sometimes I do too. If it's particularly amazing, I agree. But I feel okay with myself. And otherwise, I actually feel pretty bad. Like I feel upset or angry or confused or like trepidation. I just feel all these different things that are charged, and I have this vibration of anxiety all the time until I can kind of put my imprint on something creatively, and then I see myself in the world through that, and I go, okay, I'm here and I'm content. But without those things, I don't feel okay. And so I need to do these things all the time to just be fucking at a level. Like every night, the weekends, or my buddies, my brother, they're all going out and they're like, hey, come meet up with us. And I'm like, I got a show. After the show, I'd love to. And I actually have more fun because I did my thing tonight. I'm done. And honestly, most of the time I don't end up going because I'm content. Because I've checked my box and I'm one with the fucking forces balanced. But I can't, my younger brother, and he's very, very similar to me. I don't say this to like, oh, he's fucking not an artist or whatever, but like he just has he's a chill dude. Like I don't think he's as at war with like the world around him, and he doesn't have to combat, like he doesn't take personally that life is difficult. It's beautiful, dude. Like he is incredibly fucking mature, and he just feels things when they're hard. and he struggles through things when they're challenging, and he enjoys things when they're lovely, but he doesn't take it personally that life has ups and downs. Whereas I'm so upset that like there are challenges, there are things that could make me feel worse about myself.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes the great ones tick, you know? Like this is everything good and bad that happens to me is my fault.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you're working a job or something, you're like, it was Elizabeth being a bitch. It was Tom, he was an asshole. Right. It wasn't my fault I sent that email.
Right.
When it's like you in there all by yourself, like, oh shit, that was my fault. Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Oh shit, I blew the light. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's fucking me.
Dude,
know?
It is an incredible depersonalization that these people either have naturally or occurs to them to develop. I don't have that at all. I need to develop it just to survive as a mechanism. But I absolutely blame myself for the smallest things and most inconsequential things. It turns to the most nothing thought can turn into the thought, you're fucking worthless. Like, why aren't you better? It could be nothing, but like I'm so vulnerable to like pointing the guns at myself. And I will say that like it is the thing that motivates me to evolve. It's a shame that I can't evolve with less motivation, but that's what triggers me.
Yeah. Just the idea of not being good enough is always gonna make you better, which is fucked up. And it's crazy to think that like the things that are really annoying day to day usually is the shit that you got to do.
Oh,
you know,
man.
especially when you think about just as baseless or as the gym. You know, that's not something that's super specific, but just when you don't want to go to the gym and you go to the gym, that's like a victory.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to the gym and you don't go to the gym. You know, that's a loss. If you just look at it like that, making your bed, small things. I think that you read in books and
difference.
shit.
They really make a huge difference because especially when you're like us and you do take personally all these little things, like if I do or don't go to the gym, I'll have these thoughts in my head where I'm like, if you go, you're who you say you are. And if you don't go, I don't recognize you. You're a pussy. You're a coward.
Keeping promises to yourself are massive.
Yeah, it's that consequential for me. And I'll really let myself feel how that much self-loathing if I don't keep it's not a good way to live, because if you don't make your bed, it doesn't mean you're a piece of shit.
Absolutely.
But there's an upside to it, which is that if you do make your bed, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah, you're fucking top G.
Dude,
and it's all like the little mind tricks.
It really is. You walk down the street having made your bed, you fucking brushed your teeth, and people are looking at you like, damn. Yo, I walked into the cellar the other night. Dude, I walked into the cellar the other night, and I had a spot on one of the shows, and I go to sit at the table, and a comic named Dan Natterman is standing there. And I walked in, and I was confident. I had confidence in me, and it was because I fucking did my laundry and went to the gym earlier in the day. So I was just proud of myself because right before I left the apartment, I folded clothing. And as I walk in, he goes, look at this guy acting like he owns the place. I wasn't going like, what's up? Like, I wasn't like trying to show that energy. It was completely unbeknownst to me. But he like clocked it on me, and it was just because I did my laundry.
And I bet you didn't want to.
No, please. No, but I did. And then it made me Super Saiyan. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, dude. Doing the fucking hard shit that you don't want to do. Nick, this has been an amazing episode, bro. As this podcast comes out, it's Monday. Happy New Year, man. It's 2023.
Thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys catch this guy on the Ted Jones Comedy Show, January 19th, 8 p.m. at the new Moxie Hotel,
Thank you,
145 Bowery. Check the link in this YouTube video. Nick, we're popping up your Instagram right here, so please shout it out.
At Mr. Nick Callas. See you there.
Absolutely. Follow this guy, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, folks.
Peace.